Get ready because this Winter Olympics is about to deliver a comeback story you won't believe as figure skating's biggest superstars return to the ice, at a moment when the sport has faced a noticeable global dip in popularity. Yet somehow every 4 years it still dominates as the most watched spectacle of the Winter Games. And without fail it becomes the most jaw-dropping and emotionally explosive event on the entire schedule. But this time the lineup is packed with personalities so magnetic and larger than life that beyond the battle for gold, there is an entire universe of backstory that will completely pull you in, since the history surrounding each skater runs so deep and dramatic it feels less like a competition, and more like a saga worthy of Game of Thrones, with decade-long curses that refuse to die out, international bans that changed careers forever, shocking tragedies inspiring comeback heroes, and yes, depending on who you talk to, a few perceived villains who fuel the rivalry even further. And somehow even dragons make their way into the narrative. And when you layer all of that over the already controversial and intensely debated nature of a judged sport where every score sparks arguments and conspiracy theories, you get the perfect recipe for chaos, controversy, passion, and unforgettable Olympic drama that will have the entire world watching every single second.
Best program and coming second is hard to take.
Were they robbed? Was it rigged?
Hold your breath, because what we are heading into might become the most chaotic, emotional, legacy-defining Winter Olympics figure skating has ever produced. And if you think you already know how the story ends, I promise you history says otherwise, as every single recent Olympic cycle has delivered a twist no one predicted. And this time the stakes feel even higher, so today we are not just talking about athletes, we are breaking down dynasties, collapsing prodigies, rising scandals simmering beneath the surface, and medal favorites carrying the weight of entire nations as we unpack who these skaters are, where they come from, what they have survived, and how likely they are to stand on that podium when the final score flashes across the screen. Before we dive into the personalities, let's make sure you fully understand the battlefield, because figure skating has 4 distinct disciplines, and each one demands something completely different from its athletes' pairs. Is high-risk, high-reward chaos, where a man launches his partner into the air with blades attached to both of their feet and hopes timing and trust bring her safely back to earth, while they also execute side-by-side triple and quadruple jumps with absolute synchronization. Ice dance removes the jumps, but doubles down on chemistry, storytelling, lifts, and intricate step sequences, where twizzles must hit in perfect unison, and judges quietly assess not just technique, but connection, presence, and authenticity. Men's singles is an arms race of power, endurance, and rotation speed, where quadruple jumps are the currency of dominance, and one extra quad can mean the difference between gold and heartbreak, while women's singles has evolved into a technical revolution, where triple axels and quads, once considered rare, are now required for serious medal contention. And if the scoring system has ever looked like advanced mathematics, here is the simple breakdown. Technical elements reward the difficulty and execution of jump, spins, and step sequences, while program components reward skating skills, interpretation, performance, and artistry. And if you ever feel lost, just remember, higher score than the previous skater means they take the lead, lower means they fall behind. And just like that, you are equipped to survive Olympic figure skating. Now let's talk about the man redefining what is physically possible on ice. Ilya Malinin is not just the favorite, he is a phenomenon after becoming the first person in history to land a quad axel in competition. A jump long theorized as borderline impossible, he transformed from rising star to mythic figure overnight, earning the nickname Quad God, and embracing it with unapologetic confidence. And what makes his dominance terrifying for the field is not just that he can land the hardest jump ever attempted, but that he can pack his programs with so much technical content that even scaled-back layouts still outscore most competitors purely on base value alone. He is a calculated risk-taker, a thrill-seeker, even inserting a backflip into his choreography and skating to cinematic soundtracks that reinforce the chosen one narrative. And heading into Milan, he stands on the brink of becoming the only human to ever land a quad axel at the Olympics, which would permanently stamp his name into sports history. Yet the ice has never guaranteed anything, and chasing him is France's magnetic Adam Sayo-Himfa, a skater praised for blending explosive jumps with refined artistry, whose clean performances can pressure Malinin, and who already owns a victory over him at the Grand Prix de France, proving that on the right day with the right momentum, the gap can close even if debates about home scoring lingered. But consistency has been Adam's challenge, whereas Malinin appears fueled by expectation. Then there's Japan's precision master Yuma Kajiyama, whose edges glide deeper than anyone in the field, whose skating quality and composure make him the most reliable podium presence, and whose coaching lineage connects him to Olympic legacy, positioning him as perhaps the safest silver bet if Malinin delivers as expected. Yet lurking in the shadows is Russian neutral athlete Petr Gumenik, competing without flag or anthem after strict vetting procedures, a theatrical performer dominating domestically, but largely untested internationally, due to geopolitical bans making him both dangerous and unpredictable. And Kazakhstan's breakthrough contender Mikhail Shadurov, who surged onto the scene with stability and confidence, becoming a symbol of new blood in a sport often ruled by established federations, while American Maxim Naumov carries perhaps the most emotional storyline, channeling unimaginable personal tragedy into Olympic qualification, honoring his late Olympian parents every time he steps onto the ice, reminding audiences that legacy is not only about medals, but about perseverance and remembrance. Shift now to the women, where tectonic plates are shifting beneath a once ironclad Russian dynasty, as Adalia Petrosian arrives as the face of a System built by controversial coaching architect Ettore Tupperidge, whose quad revolution changed the technical ceiling for teenage girls worldwide, yet now faces scrutiny over sustainability, injuries, and short careers in Petrosian, despite historic quad combinations enters surrounded by whispers of physical strain, and the absence of her primary coach on Olympic ice, which raises the question of whether this marks the final chapter of that era. Meanwhile, the United States counters with cultural shift and fearless individuality led by comeback prodigy Alice Aliu, who retired at 16 only to return on her own terms, reclaim control of her training, and stun the world with a championship run, proving that autonomy can coexist with excellence. And alongside her stands Japan's steady powerhouse Kaori Sakamoto, the reigning Olympic medalist, whose consistency and mental strength make her the quiet assassin of the field, as well as teenage prodigy Ami Nakai, whose fearlessness and triple axel capability hint at another youthful Olympic breakthrough, while veteran American Amber Glenn defies age narratives, landing triple axels with authority, while advocating openly for mental health and LGBTQ visibility, redefining what longevity looks like in women's skating, and reminding the sport that expiration dates are myths. Pairs promises volatility, as Japanese world champions Riku Miura and Ruchi Kahara aim for consistency, in a discipline where one misaligned throw can shatter medal hopes, while Chinese legends Sui Wenjing and Han Kong re-enter the arena chasing redemption, and Canada's inspiring veteran Diana Stellato Dudek attempts the unthinkable, competing at 42 in the sport's most punishing category, battling injury and time itself. And then ice dance, where politics, perception, and performance intertwine, as four-time Olympians Madison Chalk and Evan Bates chase long-awaited individual gold amid controversy surrounding memoir revelations from former French champion Gabriela Papadakis involving her past partnership with Guillaume Cizeron. Being off-ice drama to an already subjective discipline, while British crowd favorites Lilia Fear and Lewis Gibson inject theatrical energy, in Italian home heroes Charlene Gignard and Marco Fabbri seek a storybook podium moment in front of a roaring Milan crowd, all culminating in the team event, where rivals must unite and federations strategize for collective supremacy, with the United States, Japan, France, and Italy fielding deep lineups capable of shaking projections and rewriting expectations. So when you step back and look at the entire landscape, what you see is not just a sporting event, but a collision of eras, philosophies, personalities, and unresolved rivalries. And if the past has taught us anything, it is that the Olympics does not reward the most talented on paper. It rewards the athlete who can survive 2 to 4 minutes of unbearable pressure without blinking, and somewhere within those fleeting moments, dreams will crystallize, dynasties will crumble, and a new chapter figure skating history will be written in Milan, whether we are ready for it or not.